How's it going? Uh, so we have a portfolio review, which is awesome. Randell Coffman offered up his portfolio. I think I got the, unless he changed it from the last portfolio, I think I got it right as far as the Twitter name for him. So we may update it on the fly. I kind of I got so used to if it looks like I'm like looking everywhere, it's because Streamlabs used to have a built-in chat function into the streaming service, and OBS does not. So now that I'm using OBS instead of Streamlabs OBS, I have to look over here for the chat instead of over here for the for the chat. So I'm a little discombobulated. Howdy. Oh wait, this isn't Red Dead. Nope. I don't think we're gonna play a lot of Red Dead for a while. Actually, I think we're gonna shelf that game for quite a bit. The more I was playing it, I started. Left and rights are tough. Yeah. Thank you, Akash, for the 9 months in a row. Appreciate it. Welcome to High Society. Um. So. Yeah. Man, Red Dead. What can you say? Oh, oh, that's a game. I like all of the story missions in Red Dead. Like I'm just gonna chat while people are like trickling in, and also because just a couple of days ago we streamed, or yesterday we streamed, and it muted actually the first couple of minutes of the VOD, and I want to make sure that all the review goes through. So we're not going to start the review until we waste a couple minutes here. Hey, Banjo Bang Geek. But yeah, Red Dead. The more I play it, the more I feel like they want me to be a terrible person. And in the first Red Dead, it's like it plays with this idea of like, these people murdered your father. You got to go after them because the law can't. They're in a place where the law can't touch them. And so it's like you're in this like morally gray area, and I feel like that was really interesting because it was like, oh, we're like bad for the right reasons. And in the new Red Dead, it's just like all these people are terrible. Arthur, you should walk away. Oh, I don't have that option. Oh, they're making me do terrible things. Oh, I guess I got to do that now. Oh, I'm still doing terrible things for reasons, I guess. They want you to be a terrible person. They want you to greet everyone no matter how muddy you are. Yes, that's true. Like, that's the thing. It's like, I just wish that there was some level, and find some dinosaur bones. Yes. I just wish that there was some level of choice in the game. And I just don't ever feel like I get a good choice. Audio's good so far? Cool. Yeah, I just feel like in the entirety of the like, you just never really get to be the cowboy you want, and then because of that you're just like on a roller coaster ride. And that's fine. There's plenty of games that do that really well. But, like, if it's just go to point A, go to point B, murder people, do crimes for the sake of doing crimes, like, I'm just out. I don't know. Like, Dutch isn't great. Micah's terrible. And then, like, on top of that, it's like, hey, we built this game for you to do crimes in. And then it's like, oh, you did crimes. We're going to have to mechanically punish you for that by putting out a bounty and bounty hunters. And it's like, what do you want from me, game? I don't even want to do these crimes. Do crime. Look, absolutely do crime. But have a reason. Have a reason to do crime. Have a reason to do crime. That's all that I ask. You've heard similar complaints where being nice good is not fulfilling. Well, it's not even that it's not fulfilling. Like, there's all these little side quests and like missions that are like weird and fun and like fulfilling, and you can be good, and it's like that stuff is awesome. And then you have to free Micah from prison and murder a whole town, and it's just like, I just don't want to be here. Um, did you see the tweet where the guy beat the game and is now just doing heinous racist shit in game for kicks? Yeah, that's terrible. It's awful. You're too much of a sweet boy for this game. Yes, you are, Robert. You will be too much of a sweet boy for this game. It like pushes you into like commit all this violence, and it doesn't give you an option. There's no option to not do violence. And the worst part about it is like, so when we freed Micah, we like got to the town that was holding him prison, said hello to everybody in the town. The game is peer pressure. You're not wrong. Eat Hawkman. Do crimes, eat Hawkman. Yes. I said hello to everybody in town. Like, praised all the little cats running around. And then I proceeded to murder everyone because the game demanded it. And it's just like, yo, I don't want this. I don't want this. So we're gonna play some the next game we're gonna play is Battle Chef Brigade, because like it's anime, it's cooking, and it's gonna be fine. And we're gonna make friends. We're gonna make anime friends. I don't wanna murder anything anymore. So anyway, Red Dead aside. We have a new portfolio from Randell Coffman. I believe that is his Twitter account in the corner there. The bottom right down there. You can see his Twitter handle. Battleship, the board game? No. Battle Chef. We're going to be cooking and being anime. And it's going to be great. Anime is real. Geodude is my friend. It's going to be great. So, the last time we looked at Randell Coffman's portfolio, first of all, he switched from DeviantArt to ArtStation, which is a step up for sure. For sure. He like cut basically like everything out of the portfolio that wasn't what we saw originally. Like what we saw originally is all gone. And it's been 6 months. So it's been a minute. So he has a color portfolio here and published work over here. Before we get into that, I'm going to check to see if the rest of these things work. These like links around here. Let's see if the contact works. That's critical. The contact does not work. Might want to fix that. Let's click the resume. Cool. This guy clicks over to the Twitter. Clicks over to the Twitter. That's all good. This goes to Twitch, I assume. I don't know what this is. Am I too old for this? Geodude makes me feel safe because of his arms and glowing personality. I don't know what this is, but I assume it works. You have your email here. This probably works more than the other email link. That's weird that doesn't. So like the resume link works. You got stuff in there. That's all good. This is published work. So I was looking at this earlier. This is Blood, Skulls, and Chrome is a miniseries, Texas-based outlaws. So this is like a whole issue, text and everything. I didn't click this before. What's this? Oh, it just clicks over to the comic portfolio. Okay. So this is like a finished issue. Okay. We're just orienting ourselves. Isn't that DeviantArt? No, this is ArtStation, which is a little better, because it presents everything a little more clearly. And then this is the color portfolio that Randell, who is J.R. Coffman in the chat, by the way, and he did the ultimate portfolio. This looks like most of it, if not all of it. We'll have to count the pages. So we're gonna kind of divide and conquer with this portfolio. We're gonna talk about, so there's like goals and things that we've talked about before on stream with the ultimate portfolio. And by the way, ultimate portfolio, all these pages are flatted, all these pages are floating around out there. There's a link to them on the YouTube. I posted a link on my Twitter. There's a link in the Flatted Pages for Practice in the Discord, which there's a link down below for that. Isn't that the logo? It might be. I don't know. So if you like any of these pages under the color portfolio, if you want to give them a crack, you can. It's all available. It's widely out there. This stuff is not. So this is a little more structured, and this is like a full story. We're gonna talk about the color portfolio first, because the other one is kind of like a monster to get through. So this one has a little more structure, a little more pacing. So we're gonna get into this. So when we last left Randell Coffman, he had we had kind of come to the conclusion that the airbrush wasn't necessarily his friend. It still feels a little airbrushy. There's even if he's not totally using the airbrush, like this stuff looks great. These cut and grads, these grads in the hair, they look really good because it's you know, a 50% grad or a 30% grad. When you start to get like this grad starts to look a little wonky. And I will say that just right off the top, I noticed that you're running into some problems. And you had these problems a little bit before, but more pronounced now, where you start to have like, this is like a greenish color on top of this greenish color. And I think you're putting this grad real hard through this person because you're trying to figure out how to get these two colors to separate. And they're so similar. And because of that, you're like ending up with this, they're folding in on each other, and it's no good. And you only have this one line separating it. So it's not even like there's a lot of spot blacks to help you out. So like I noticed that this was kind of a running theme that like here we have a blue office with a blue background and a blue green shirt and a blue suit, and it all flattens out. And it wouldn't if you would just shift the back office. Even if you like lightened it, hugely lightened it, like 75% white, it would help register the characters' silhouettes. You want to think about that stuff. And like you have the same thing going on here, and it's because you desaturate everything. We're going to talk about the storytelling in like a second, but I just want to talk about like the technical color just for a moment. Yeah, but like you started doing cuts, which is like awesome. That is absolutely where you want to be. Like this cut is like really brave and awesome and registers really well. Like it just looks good. Faces are a little rougher, which I think that I can sense that you know that, because you're like, I feel like you're doing one cut and then you're like, this doesn't quite look right, and then you're like trying to do another cut or like some airbrush on here to like kind of like narrow the gap a little bit. But I think if you just kind of less is more, like if you cut this weird shape out that's on here under his chin, and then just kind of like extend this, don't make this as pronounced. Like we can drop this into Photoshop and you can see what I'm saying. Like it seems like you're a little all over the place here. Like kids don't really have a lot of mark making on their faces because their skin is all new and nice and tight. So you don't need to like do these kind of like this like a lot of mark making for them. You can kind of leave it open, and you actually did leave it open. See, like this is what I mean. Like just open it up a little. You did leave it open down here. Like this is executed really well because you're not like you're not biting off more than you can chew, rendering wise. And you like put a little grad in, it makes sense. The grad makes sense. You can like augment this with a little bit of shadow, but like you don't necessarily need to. It's better to do less well than to do a lot poorly, which is another thing that we talked about with your original portfolio. And I could see you thinking about that, which is awesome. Like, you're definitely on the path for that. Let's kick it back to the portfolio. Yeah. So, okay. So you're running into a problem where you're like having problems separating the figure from the background. And in this background, and I know that like we don't really have any context for this when we're initially reading it, but the background is the school. And the grad that you pulled is like so hard here that it looks almost like he's got like a spotlight behind him. And then the rendering on his face doesn't correspond with that spotlight behind him. So you're entering this space where like he looks like he's sitting in front of like a backdrop. So it kind of doesn't really work. And if you just took like, if you color picked, we're going to do this again. We're going to copy it and drop it back into the thing. If you crank this up to 40. If you color picked any of this, like we'll do one of the high values, 50%, or one of the lower values, 50%, just like scale it back just a little. And that's going to be a theme of a lot of this. Like, the one thing that you're doing really, really well is like you are fucking going for it, which most people do not do. Most people when they start coloring, they're like, I need to do this color, this, I need to do this, you know, like they stay very local color. They stay very like red is red, blue is blue, you know, like apple is red, grass is green, sky is blue. Like, we need to keep it like that. And I don't see you doing that. Like, I see you like really playing with color, and like this panel is awesome. But like, so here's the thing. We can start to talk about the storytelling. You're highlighting the cupcake really well by making it a very different color than the stuff around it. But the problem is that you're starting to edge into like, okay, we're doing like a green-red color scheme here, and then we're throwing pink on top of it. And the colors that you've chosen just don't work super well together. You can change this by just tweaking the pink a little bit. They're starting to read a little bit local. If you take this pink and just like this reads a little bit better, and you can still be like, oh, the cupcake's important, you know, like the reason that it reads a little bit better is because the blue is closer to the green, or you could go in the other direction and make it more red like that. But we want to make the tongue real gross. We want to make the cupcake real gross, because that's the point of this page. But yeah, it just like a little nudge in one direction or the other will help you out there. So this was another thing that was like a big deal with the original portfolio review, which was that you were kind of like, making it weird too much. There was too many places where you were like, okay, like if you remember the original portfolio review, there was a couple of pages where there was a woman who was walking into the water, and she was like disheartened or whatever. It took her 3 pages to walk in the water, and like every other page or every other panel was like a panel like this, where you were like going buck wild, you know, like you just like take the color scheme, throw it out the window, do your own thing, like, and it's cool in like one or two panels. Right, need to build the weird. Yes, exactly. And I see you holding back a little bit more because, like, I feel like if this was where you started, it would have been weird all the way down on this page. But I still feel like you gotta keep in mind the sequence because like this you want to keep fairly normal, this you want to keep fairly normal, and this, even though this is like an intense, like, you know, violence is about to happen, like this is about to get crazy, like you still want this reveal and this reveal to be important. And by like setting this up as like bright red for the viewer on the page before the action actually happens, you're robbing them of that. The other thing is that by then going here and then like going to like this desaturated place, I start to like not understand what's happening. You know, like it's just like it's a little too much, just a little bit too much. Trying to go from calm to angry. Yeah, I mean, I get it, but like just got to scale it back a little bit. Like you got to make this panel echo this panel, like a little bit more desaturated, a little bit more rooted in regular color. And then like this panel will really pop. You want to make that page turn be very interesting. The other thing is that you're using a lot of cooler colors here to go from like calm to angry, like you were saying. But one of the things that you're doing is like you're making the kids in the background who aren't important, fading them into the back with like mono palette. It's all blue, which is good. But this bully is important to the scene because you gave him skin tone. And like, I know he's important because you gave him skin tone. And then you gave him a blue shirt, which like made the rest of him kind of like shoot right back onto the page. So it's like his skin tones are coming forward and his shirt is folding back. And then like, I think this is supposed to be the same bully. And it's like, it's just not really reading well. It would just, if you did like a little bit less, if you did like maybe change the shirt to like an orange, or like you know, like get it away from the cool palette, get his shirt away from the cool palette, keep him the same here, it would help you out. The other thing is that like when you went into like a monochrome kind of palette over here, you're losing some stuff. Like the value that's here with blonde hair and skin tone is like could be a little bit greater value, like a higher high, a lower low. Same thing with like the steel back of the chair and the regular chair here. If you like push, if this color here was this same color here, we're into like 2 pixels on top of each other, so I'm gonna blow it up. Like if this color here was this color here, it would like just generally read just a little bit better as to like what's going on, because otherwise you start to have this situation where like this just looks like one color, and then visually it's hard for the reader to understand what's happening. But I think that your instinct here is really interesting, and I think it's worth exploring, like this kind of stuff. I just don't think the execution is all the way there yet. And like, I don't mind. Oh my God, Shannon is blowing up my phone. Hold on 1 second. This is gonna happen every time. So yeah. So I also, like, you set up the skin tone here for the bully, and the skin tone's here, and then when, oh my God, I need the other page. And then when we move to this page, like, this panel is really great, but like, I want like a moment of reveal. Like, this is what this panel is. Like, visually, this big middle panel is a reveal of like, and these are the repercussions. And by desaturating it, you are minimizing the repercussions. Like, I want in that panel, like, everybody to be colored like this, like normal, you know, like this is a moment between these two characters, and then it turns into a moment that the entire school is experiencing, the entire classroom is experiencing. And so you want to fold all them in. And I understand that, like, it is incredibly challenging to do that because there's a lot of chaos and there's a lot to juggle in that panel. But that's the challenge, and you want to like try to embrace that challenge. The other thing that I would say is that by one of the things that's going to make this more difficult for you, yeah, your thought was that he kind of blacked out. It's a little too far. Plus, he didn't black out. He's still like standing up, you know. The other thing is that like we go from like, okay, this kid with red hair. Like, you did a really great job of being like, okay, we're doing like a red-green scene. This kid has like kind of like reddish hair. He's got reddish hair here. We know he's the bully. We know he's the jerk who like licked that cupcake. And then we get to the next page and it's like somebody got stabbed, but because of like the choices that you made in this panel, which I like this panel. I think you should keep this panel. We don't really know who it is, and we want him to be stabbed here, and he's not, because the values that you picked in this black and white panel aren't the correct corresponding values of the kid beforehand. Like, if we took this and like desaturated it, those are the corresponding values. His hair should be darker than his skin tone. And like, he gets stabbed and we need to be like, oh, he's stabbed. But instead it's like, did that kid just like stab another kid? And then it's like, is this even the same kid? It like, this is the same problem that you had before, where the storytelling starts to get a little muddy. And one of the I don't want to do crime. I just want him to be stabbed. Which is it, Nick? Yeah. I want the thing is like, when someone is stabbed, I want to know who's stabbed. He kind of turned blonde. Yeah. So like there's I understand where your instinct is. Your instinct is like, this is where I think your headspace was at. We'll be nice and calm. We'll get violent. The violence will happen. It'll crescendo into this red. And then we'll take the air out of the room. We'll you know, like, the moment will solidify into this, you know, where there's violence happening. The problem is that in this crescendo that you've created, you've lost the reader along the way. And I think that you just need to make some simple tweaks. Like, I don't know if we have... Hold on, let me search for it real quick. I gotta open up the Ultimate Portfolio. This is the advantage of you working on these pages, actually. So, like, here's the flats, and like, I would change a lot of these colors here, but like, if we desaturate it just a hair, maybe warm it up a little bit like that, then we're still getting... I'm trying to copy and paste this thing in. This is going to be a disaster. This is going to take a second. This is like so quick and dirty, but you see, like, we get the full moment. Like, we back up we take away all of the highs and lows, and reality clicks of like what this kid has done. And that's ultimately what you want out of these pages. So my advice to you with these pages, and when you go forward with this stuff, is that like your instincts are correct. Your impulse to like tell this story in this way is right. Your execution leaves a little bit to be desired. And this is a step up from the last time that you showed your portfolio. 6 months ago, you showed me a portfolio where every single moment was like this huge shift in color. And like, you're picking the right shift in colors now. Like the places that you're impulsed to change the color, to change the scene, are absolutely correct. You just need to like walk back a little bit. Like instead of going full red immediately, maybe a light yellow, maybe just like a slight change. And like, you know, maybe change the background of here and here, so that when we get to this page and we have that background again, we know that we're in the same scene. Like there's all these like little moments to use color as kind of a life preserver for the reader, so that they understand what's happening. So like if you were to redo this, I would make these walls like light blue, or I would make this like a light blue, or I would change that, whatever you want to do. I also kind of feel like this in general feels like, instead of, what I like to encourage is to like think about coloring like the air in the room, rather than the actual like I'm picking a color and making it this. And this feels like, instead of making it like, oh, we're gonna cool it down, it's like I'm color picking from a color wheel of the cold colors. Instead of, and I might be presuming a little bit on that, like instead of I gotta open the page again. Give me 1 second. I gotta do this so that you don't see my secrets. So like, you know, we would, if I was doing this for myself, I would get like the skin tones where I want them. Maybe shift this kid's like shirt color a little bit. Maybe they have similar kind of pants color. I don't know. But then I would kind of take this moment or whatever and be like, okay, we want to shift it cool for the I mean, if it was the previous page, if we want to shift it cool, I'd take this like blue tone that we have here and just like wash it 20%, 40%, you know, like whatever you need to do, so that the palette is unified with all of this blue. If we just start taking like values out of the color wheel here, we're going to end up like all over the place, which is kind of how it feels. So my suggestion for you is like, when you want to do these moments, think about doing washes of color instead of color picking. Do the wash and then try to like refine from there. And also, when you do the wash, you don't have to go this aggressive. Like this is like 100% wash, you know, like you could do, like, this is a calm moment before the storm, clearly, but like we can do like 10% blue. Like it doesn't have to be totally calm. It's still a classroom, you know. You do like 10% blue, 10% green, and then when we get here, make the background yellow. Like same kid, 10% green, make the background yellow, and then it's like, oh shit, what's gonna happen, you know? And then when we get to here, it's like red, and then it's like we go from like the red back to the 10% green. You know, you could troll that moment a little bit better, or even 10% green and then desaturate it a little bit like you did here. but like just back it off a little, and you'll get there. You'll get there fine. The other thing that I would say is you're using a lot of blue in the hair. Don't do that. The way comics were made back in the day, like the comics that I read, Tony Stark's hair was always blue. It was because they couldn't really get a dark brown. It's kind of a holdover from like old comics. I was working on I was doing that all the time, and early in my career, and Paul Azevedo was like, "Hey, stop doing that. Like, just use a brown. Just use the color that's people's hair, or use a gray. You know, because this is reading as like this lady has blue hair and this guy has blue hair, which isn't where you want to be. At any rate, so one of the things that I do want to point out is that like I like that you're embracing cuts a little bit more, but the bone pages kind of embrace a little bit of like you're not like going totally painterly, because you're using cuts over here, which is good, but then like you're getting a little painterly, a little smudgy in here, and it starts to look a little rough. Like, not rough as in like rough as in the quality starts to degrade when you do that. It's better to like take this. It's better to just like make a selection. So you're trying to highlight the top of the bread, right? It's better to make a selection of like all of the top of the bread here. Pick a color. We're gonna try to walk you back a little bit. Pick this color, and just like little bit of a gradient. Play with it until you get it right. Done. Like this looks better, nice and even like this. Rather than, oh god, this. Like, the difference is that it just like it's more confidence in the form, it's more confidence in the shape, and this is kind of all over. Like, not all over, because like these apples are rendered really, really well. The dog is rendered really, really well, but like, you know, here like it I can see that like this is a more complex form that you're maybe not familiar with. Like, everybody knows what a dog looks like. Everybody knows what it, like how to color a sphere. But like with here, it starts to like be like, oh, it's like this guy's back and he's lumpy, and you know, like you don't really know where to put the shadows, and then they got this like splotchy highlight here. It just like doesn't work for you. I like, for the record, I think this guy's back, you pull out the splotchy highlight and it like works a lot better. Would you say that painterly has its place? Absolutely. Painterly has its place. But like, this is the other thing I was just about to get into, Ron. You don't have to render everything. Rendering draws the eye and makes you focus on what's important. So like, you don't have to render everything. One of the things I really like that you did was you put this like cut through Phony Bone and then put this highlight around him. And it makes me be like, oh, we want to be here. But this amount of rendering is great on the bone characters, but when you put that amount of rendering on like the apples over here, it makes me think, where do I go? Like, which direction am I looking? It was like a scruffy brush. I mean, it's just not working though. Like, it's just a little splotchy. It's just not really working that well. It works a little bit better over here. You might just need a better quality brush, like a rougher brush than that. I would say anything that starts to look airbrushy, you should cut. Like, even if it's billed as a scruffy brush, like, one of the brushes that I really like that I got from like a Chun Lo set is this brush here. And the reason that I like this brush is because it has like a little bit of tooth to it. Like there's it's tough to see in this low resolution, but I use it all the time in the videos. I'm sure you've seen me use it. Is like it's like a lot of brushes. We'll get into this. We'll get into this. Let's get a high resolution guy out here. Okay. Okay, this one's high resolution. So let's just take a white or something. It was one of Kyle's. You just gotta find the right one. Yeah, this is what I was gonna get to. So like this brush has like a little bit of a rough edge to it. It has a quality to its mark making that you're not getting with the other brush. And there is a lot of Kyle Webster brushes, and this is this goes for like a lot of stuff. Like here we can do brush stroke. There's a lot of like Kyle Webster brushes that market themselves as like I have a really great quality of line, but like when you get down to it, it like just doesn't. Actually, I really like that brush. That's a bad example, but how about this one? This one maybe? This one? Yeah. So like this one, we can. How about this? So this brush markets itself as like furry, but like you start to get into like this like pressure sensitivity, and it starts to be smeary, and it starts to like just kind of be like all over the place, and we're like ebbing into like this may as well be an airbrush, especially when we like take a color like this, and then we take like a lighter color like this, and then we're like, okay, I gotta like smear this together. Like you're losing so much definition in there that you're losing the mark making that the brush is doing. And if you start to lose the mark making the brush is doing, then it's no longer scruffy. It just looks airbrushed, you know? And this kind of stuff, you just got to experiment. You just got to like, this is like the whole game, you know? Like you just got to experiment, find out which brushes are working for you, which ones aren't. I like Kyle put out so many goddamn brushes that I probably pulled less than 10 out of his packs that are brushes that I like to use, and even then I don't like to use them on everything. The thing is though, whoa, what happened? The thing is though is that when you do this, and you do get like a little painterly, it doesn't matter if you're not painting with the form. And this is what I was talking about in the original review, which was like I see you doing it more now, which is good, and you're definitely better than you were before. Full stop. A lot of it is insecurity in the rendering. The fudging shows, like trying to making it with one stroke. Yeah, this is what I was gonna say. Is that if you table that stuff, if you table trying to find the right fuzzy brush in order to do the rendering, you won't get the rendering right. Like you're going to be thinking too much about the brush and too much about like scrubbing it out and like full rendering. This is I said this in the original thing. Like you could take light and shadow and learn how to juggle with 2 balls, or you could take light, middle tone, mid-tone, mid-low tone, shadow, and try to juggle with 5 balls. But like you're probably going to be better at learning how to juggle with just 2. And I feel like if you were juggling with just 2, instead of thinking, oh, like I got to find the right brush, you would have come to a better conclusion with this shoulder rendering here. You know, like you would have been spending your time thinking about that than spending your time thinking about the rest of the thing. But it's fine. This is just like what you got to work on, you know? Like I totally dig the fact that you're trying to manipulate the reader with like hue and saturation, or saturation for sure. Like that is really great. And like the ground is identifiable as like the ground, which is, it sounds like I'm being patronizing and I'm not. Like a lot of times colorists will get stuck in like, you know, the ground is too similar to the wall and everything just kind of like flattens out and folds out. That's not happening here, which is awesome. That's where you want to be. Like these colors are all separate enough, like in this small area here, that like everything, all the silhouettes are like identifiable and readable, which is awesome. That's where you want to be, 100%. But like instead of, so you're trying to do this like scrubby brush in the rocks, and I feel like you would be better served if you did something like this. Just like, where do you want to put the highlights? Here, 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 because you want to make the rock chunky. Here, here, and then just like take a highlight, set it to screen, just drag it through. Like this works a little bit better than like the other stuff that you have going on. It creates more light and rendering. How to Render by Scott Robinson and Thomas Burling is excellent for learning how to render complex forms. Cool. I did not know that. And like I said this before in the original thing, like this what we're talking about now, figuring out how to render, like do more pages, you'll figure this out. Like that's just the reality. Like I'm figuring out the same thing with art as far as like drawing goes. Like I'm trying to figure out how to use like structure and form like all over again, because I'm trying to make it work with just black, white. Yeah. So, I mean, you just do this enough and you'll figure it out. There's like knowing it and then there's executing it, and that's two different things. I will say that the one thing that I would have liked to see is on this bone page is you have like extreme foreground elements here, and it would have been nice to see them darkened up, because and you don't even need to really render them. Like here's a comic book secret, and you'll start to see this everywhere now that you know it. Also, this guy looks like he has no pants on. I respect the choice. Comics are a sexy business. So we have like I kind of selected the foreground elements. We're gonna do all of this apparently, and just like dark blue, multiply it down, done. Like this kind of like with extreme foreground, you can almost just do dark blue, call it a day. Like you don't need to actually do a ton of rendering, and it will pull all of it forward and push everything else back, which is where you want to be. You just need to like push it a little bit. So the only other thing with this page is that like you're using saturation to pull the characters here, which is working really well, but it's undermined by these flags. That's the only thing. Like saturation works good for the rest of it. I mean, this is all just stuff that's it's gonna come. You're a wizard. That was like magic. I mean, colorists have been compared to wizards before. I would just, for me, because like my personal taste is like I really like bone, and bone is super fun. Oh my god, I've selected everything. I would lighten them up just a bit and make them a little more cyan-y. Does that make sense? I want the bone characters nice and bright white. That's just me though. That might be just me. That might be personal preference. That's not a fault on you. They look a little dirty to me, and I guess they are a little banged up, so maybe it's fine. I don't know. But yeah, your instincts are totally right. Like again, like your instincts with this thing, absolutely right. Just kind of faulting on execution. Instincts here, absolutely right with trying to direct the eye. Same thing with this. You get Bone into the darkness, and he's pushed darker a little bit, and this guy's Phony Bone's like a little bit brighter. He's like a little bit washed in more yellow with the tone out here. I wish that this yellow, this like yellow green kind of goldish color that you have going on out here, like all that palette looks really great. Like you knocked it out of the park back there. And I wish that palette was here. Like, I wish, this market, I'm like pointing at the screen like you can understand this. This market is spot on, but it does not reflect this market. Like, I think you got bogged down in thinking, wall is gray, wood is, we have to make the wood gray unless, because otherwise it's going to pull focus from here, and I want the saturation to be, like, you got bogged down by your own rules. Because, like, this market works really well. I would, the shadows are weird here. It's like a simple fix. I would say that, like, and this is rendering again, like, just takes time. I would have pushed this guy. You could almost make Fawn Bone, or, Bone to be completely blue. Like you can almost make him totally this dark color and it would read fine. You don't need to even render. You don't even need to think about that stuff. And I wouldn't worry about, like, with cartoon characters like this, I wouldn't worry about like these like kind of like lines being shapes. Like with cartooning, it's kind of like suggestion. And expression and that kind of thing. Like they're not like real eyebrows, so you can kind of just like render out the simplest forms, and then work with that. So, but yeah, I think you're definitely getting better. Like I just watched your old portfolio review, which is why it's fresh in my mind before we did this, and you're definitely getting better. The bone pages look really good. I would redden up the guy here. The red is kind of our, like I would actually like across the board just flatten it out just a little bit. So these guys are walking through the town, and they're the big bad. They're the things you're supposed to be afraid of, you know? And the one thing that's happening is that you're washing the color, and it looks great. Like I said, looks like this back here, fantastic. These characters here, like rendered in the back, fantastic. But they're like the red of their like shoulder pad things are starting to blend with the building behind it, and you just like, oh, this is the wrong color. I was like, that didn't work right. Just like a little bit of wash, you're all good. Like, and this will read as dark, like, compared to this, you know? Um, like, you don't even need to do these because they look red enough. Like, this is perfect. Like, the only thing is if you're gonna make bone and shadow here, I would put the immediate foreground in shadow as well, because it's kind of reading weird otherwise. Um, but yeah, and the same goes here with the when we talk about like foreground, middle ground, background. Like we can almost push him and bone in general into the foreground, especially because like uh contextually context con, yeah, those are words, don't worry about it. uh Within context, he's in like a dark space here, and we turn the page and we can still kind of make him in a dark space because he's exiting that dark space. So you can pull him forward uh and have him like walking into the light. Especially because also here he's still kind of in a dark space, so he's trying to hide from these guys. Yeah, but yeah, I would just if you just tweak this stuff, like these pages read pretty well. Um, these are the next wave pages. Uh, they're pretty good. They're your more successful pages for sure. You're doing cuts in here that are like so much more confident than like this stuff. Like, look at the difference between like this dude's shirt and then like Machine Man here. Like, this is really sophisticated and interesting. Um, yeah, I don't know what to say other than that. Like, I don't know if you're using the you're checking the original color schemes and you're riffing on the stuff that hit print or what. I see you out there. But like, this looks really good. You're putting in a little bit of explosion color into the jacket. Just a pro tip: if you put a very dark, well, I can just show you. If you put a very you've never seen the next wave, well, you're rendering it very, very well. This is like so much more confident. This guy I'd hire for sure. If you put a like darker kind of render here, he will read a little better as the explosion is behind him, and that way you can make this like nice and light. The only thing that I might do is maybe take like an orange set to screen and just like screen the explosion like slightly above the like bleed the explosion a little bit. You're starting to do it here. You're doing it here. It's like a little much. But I'd rather you go too far than not far enough. Like this, you can scale down just a little bit. I like this background though. I like this whole thing. What you got going on here? The only thing I would say is, we have like a lot of like shadows going on with the Celestials. Is that who these characters are? I think they are. So they have a lot of shadow on them. The background has a lot of blank space, a lot of space for you to play. So what this is telling me as a colorist is that like we want to go darker tones in for these characters and lighter tones from the backgrounds. And what's actually happening here is like, even though you are like going buck wild on these colors, like you're kind of like getting similar with the tones. Like this tone and this tone are like basically the same. Like this guy right here and then this guy right here, like we're basically the same tone. So you're kind of losing. I feel like I'm gonna sneeze. It passed. uh, you're kind of losing a little bit of the silhouettes going on, and it's an opportunity to like get kind of crazy with the silhouettes. But I really like the fact this is like a clear scene change that works really, really well. That's where you want to live as far as coloring goes. Like you want to help the reader out. You're putting highlights right next to spot blacks. Probably not where you want to be. But like, and you're doing it again here. You did that on the Catwoman stuff too from back in the day. Don't do that. Same thing here. Like you're putting a highlight here when it's like black to black. Like this should all be dark, and then the highlight should be up here where you put it. Man, Next Wave is good. But yeah, the scene change works really well. I love this shadow. This highlight is so good. Like, I see you running with that space. I see you. Yeah, that looks really great. The other thing is that you can... Machine Man is getting lost because he is purple and the environment is purple. So I would be aware of that. Like, if Stuart Immonen wasn't so fucking good at, like, storytelling, like, this would start to be a problem. Because you wouldn't know... He'd be, like, start to fold into the background and stuff, but Stuart drew it so well that it doesn't even matter. But, yeah, I would just be aware of that. It's the same problem that you were having back here, where you're having characters fold into the background, where they're getting too similar and you're losing their silhouettes. Same thing here. But not here. Like, you're having warm characters on cool backgrounds. Perfect. Let's check out these Batman pages. Now, as a quick preface, the Batman pages are the hardest pages in the portfolio. So, he's being hit with like a sonic weapon, 10,000 bumblebees, 1,000 decibels. You can kind of play with that to like with some special effects, with some blur. You don't necessarily need to, but like it's a superhero book. You could. Let's talk about chrome, and let's talk about metal. So metal, especially like a metal cylinder. Can we just look up metal cylinder? I spelt cylinder wrong. Nobody judge me. Chat. Do you usually wash every daytime? Do I wash daytime scenes in any color? Like a light yellow, or like, something like that. Like a warm. It depends on like what kind of a scene it is. If it's like a warm coming back to the family scene, then like, yeah, like a light yellow, like 10%, 20%. Unify the palette. So, here's a chrome cylinder. Here's a chrome cylinder. Like, here's a pipe. What you have going on in like all of these images, this one's like super reflective, is like hard highs, hard lows, like clear. It's reflecting the world around it, and it looks like it's just smeared right down the thing. Like, oh no, we're kitchen restocking now. That's not where we want to be. Here, I'm not really getting that in the pipes. Like you're getting it a little bit in the chains, but you're also running into the problem of like, okay, like this chain that's in the foreground is like folding into the stuff that's in the background, and it's because those two things are similar color. The like concrete and pipes are the same kind of like tone as the chain, and that creates like a lot of problems. The thing is that like it wasn't really solved super well, You can cheat. Here's the thing. Like, especially with superhero books, you can go freaking buck wild. Like, you can take this chain. I gotta do it with the pen. Like this whole thing back here, right? We're kind of, this is the sloppiest shit. Please don't judge me. And you can push all of that back just with like a light blue. We're gonna screen it. There we go. We've instantly separated it. And like we've colorized the line art a little bit. It's fine. Like anytime, I've learned through the years that like anytime when there's a problem like that, not only that, but like, so we've embraced the language that you've already set up as well by doing this with this blue, because what are the values on that page? They're gonna be all over the place. Yeah. See, like, you want to be here, and you kind of did like high highs here, high highs here. You did a pretty good job of like, this is a little all over the place, but you did a pretty good job of like, dude, Ron, these pages are tough for a colorist to do, especially someone who's new to the game. Like, we did God, why do I keep opening this? Well, actually, I can show you the page we did. We did I'm a seasoned colorist. We did one of these Jim Lee pages. And keeping track of value is really tough, especially for people who are new, because they're juggling all the color stuff, they're juggling all the layout. Hold on, I'm trying to find it. Batman, where are you? Here you are. So we did one of the Batman Catwoman pages, and like I basically had to go in and like full digital paint everything back here, because, and I was like inventing light sources and things, because like these pages are just super challenging. Like, when I prefaced that like these pages were really hard, like I don't know if I can overexplain. I don't know if I can overstate that. Like, these pages are really hard. Like, but you do want to keep in mind your values, like Ron said. Like, you want to you can kind of like take this area here and kind of I mean, not with like that pink, but like, you know, pull the reader all the way here. Like, go real high highs, real low lows, because you need to really use every single like weapon you have in your arsenal, because like Stuart Immonen, like, very good at telling the story, and so your color with Machine Man being purple and the ground being purple was not really a big deal, because all Stuart Immonen drew was a giant finger pointing at a very tiny, you know, Machine Man. But Jim, for as amazing draftsperson as he is, you totally get it. It's one of the easiest ways to get an image to read is by controlling the values. Yeah, absolutely. Making the backgrounds, separate the figures from the background. Yeah. So Jim is an incredible draftsman. He will not help you storytelling wise. Like, it's what makes these pages tough. But I see what you're doing. You're trying to do like this warm sky, cool foreground, but like you're getting lost, man. Like, Batman is this purple, or he's like this pinkish purple, and then he's like this purplish purple. Croc is going from this green to this green to this green. It's all of this needs to just focus in, and you need a clear direction. It's tough. It's very tough to do. I assume what happened here. Why did this happen? There we go. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of more of the same up and down the line. You can like pull higher. I mean, I know you're trying to like keep us here behind Batman or with Batman, but like the kid is having a conversation over here too, so you can kind of like highlight the glasses, put some highs in his hair, the visor here. You got to give the reader like a place to go. I like the instinct here with the light source and the shadows. Like you're thinking correctly. Your execution is a little to be desired. City looks cool. Like this is a gutsy move. In pages that are, I can tell that you're overwhelmed by content. There's just like, here's the thing. There's just a lot going on these pages, but you can like with stuff like this, like you don't need to keep it yellow here. I like this shadow underneath Croc. That came out really good. You can go like full white, man. Like full white, man. We are full white, man. You can go full white. Get that high. And then not only that, but like get on top of that line art. Like the thing is shining, like make it shine. Like really knock it out. And then by doing that, like we've kind of fixed your spotlight problem. What it looked like before was this. And this I can show you, like this right here has what Ron said, a better range of values. We're having like high highlights here, darks on the guy. When we back it up and we put it in grayscale, it's kind of like the spotlight is like kind of there, but it kind of looks like the ground. You know, like the highlights on the guy are like kind of the same. Like the guy is reading really well, but he's not the like, I don't know, he's not really the focus of the panel, really. It's like Batman's reaction to everything that's going on around him. We don't need all that information on him. And I also feel like this page, you're just letting it get away from you. Like whenever I watch whenever I watch somebody who's new coloring, whenever I see a portfolio that somebody is new is coloring, I know it gets away from them when it leans purple. Like this kind of stuff means that it's getting away from you. But it's easy to fix. Like, and I get what you're thinking. You're like, oh, we're going to make Batman at night, but like wash him in blue and it ends up this purple. And like you start putting highlights down. It starts looking purple. Like you just ebb it back. Just nudge it back. Done deal. This reads a lot better. Is purple bad? Purple isn't. I use way too much purple early on. It's a trick on the eyes. I am convinced that this is the thing. Purple is not bad, but I am convinced that Photoshop leans purple. Like if you do not control it, Photoshop will put you in purple. You start putting effects and renderings down and like highlights and like you just start putting stuff down and Photoshop will be like, oh, you want purple. That's like just the way it is. I don't know why it does it, but it always does it. The other thing is like, CMYK definitely leans that way. Yeah. The other thing is like, you have this like background element here, and this is the same thing that Ron was talking about popping figures forward. And this is the same thing, same note with the chain. Like, you have this like thing in the background, right? And like, this thing doesn't matter. We can take it and just like screen this orange down, push it back. Just push it back. Make it closer to the sky. And it'll look a little better. You're doing a lot here. Like, you're bruising him up, which is like really neat, but like might not be worth your time. Like, there's this other thing that happens when you're working on coloring, which is like, you have, usually if you're working on a professional piece, you're gonna have like, you need to get X amount of things done in Y amount of time, and like, so your risk reward decision making, like these highlights in the gloves, yeah, you need them. The highlight here, you need it. The bruising on Batman's face, cool, you might not necessarily need it. You don't want to like lose the forest for the trees. But yeah, and then like, you're having the same kind of problem where it's like, you're trying to do black on black on black or whatever for these Black Ops guys, and it's like all turning the same color, and it's all kind of ending up purple, and then you have this like beige gun, and it's just like, I could just tell that you just got in the weeds, man. You just staring at it too long. And then you're like, I don't know, this color's fine. And then like, you got to a point where you're like, I spent 6 hours on this and now I have to call it done. And I think that you needed to get up, look at something else, come back with fresh eyes, and be like, does this gun look good? And answer for yourself, you know? I mean, this looks cool. I like this. You got green eyes with the green rendering. That's cool. Didn't go too crazy on this stuff, which is fine. Again, cylinder, man. I think you're trying to over render, but like, this is a chrome cylinder, just like we were talking about, like with the photos. I brought up the levels. Just like, crank that bad boy. Like, make those whites white. You like, chrome is very fun to draw, or very fun to color. Make those whites white, and then like, you can add kind of like, you know, that kind of thing. Like, really just like throw a line in. Like, you don't need to make it kind of like blurry-ish. I think that you're doing the same thing here that you were doing with why is it always do this? Getting so many hits right now. You're doing the same thing there that you are doing here, where you're like trying to use like a spongy brush and you're kind of getting lost in the weeds. If my advice to you, with all of this stuff, is simpler. Like, think less about over rendering and more about the initial rendering, more about the initial direction, more about the high highs and the low lows. Like, that stuff is going to put you on the path. This stuff looks good. Batman pops from the background. You're getting wild with like this pink, which is like kind of cool, actually. I don't know if it totally works for you, but like, you're not like scared, which is definitely in your favor. You kind of commit to it though here, and then like, as it goes, it like starts falling apart. Like, this just doesn't, it's a fuck ton of page. Like, I don't know, man. I don't fault you for how it turned out because it's a lot to deal with, but I understand how you got to the end of it and you're like, I don't know, pink, we're done. Like, I get it. I get it. If I were you, I would revisit the page, and here's what I would say to you. Instead of thinking about it like, I have to do all of these pages and all of this stuff has to make sense within the last pages, and like, I did this pink thing before, because like, this is technically a different background. Like, he's in a different part of the city. Like, every single one of these panels could be a different part of the city. My advice to you is, like, take a week, sit down, render out all this background. Like, bricks, red. Building, gray. And, like, think about it and do it in a way where you're, like, focused. And then, like, work on the next panel the next week. And it's like, you're going to work slow, but these pages have so much going on. Like, I don't know if you remember when we did this page, it took, like, 6 sittings. Like, it took forever. Yeah. So, like I said, Batman pages are probably the weakest in the portfolio. Bone pages are probably the strongest. But across the board, the best thing you want to focus on is, like, trying not to do this. Like, blue characters on blue backgrounds, and then also have the same value on top of the same value. Like, those two things on top of each other are always going to be bad. There was a... Let me see if I can search for it. Because there was, like, something that would really help you out. Dave McKeag put together a... I'm trying to find it. He did this, like... Here's one of the illustrations. Shit, can we figure this out? Is this just on the page? Yes. I got you, Randall. So, here's a old page that I'm gonna post up into the I'm gonna post it in the Discord so you can read it and anybody else can pick it up. This is an old bulletin board that Dave McKeag used to run called Gutter Zombie. It's now defunct. It's fine. But he did this topic about breaking up planes, and I think that it's really, really worth your time to go through and think about, because so you see, like, here's the illustration, and he, like, broke it down into, like, simple shapes, and then he talks about, like, where the planes are, you know, plane 1, plane 2, plane 3, background. And then he takes it and, like, breaks it down in tone, breaks it down with color, like, flips it, you know? And I think that thinking about this stuff is your windmill that you're chasing if you're Don Quixote. Yeah, way back in the day. Yeah. This is 2003. This is from 2003. Look, the art fundamentals don't change, bro. I used this same like, tutorial to, like, learn about the planes. But yeah, I'll post this into the Discord right now. Boom, there it is. But yeah, you want to be thinking about that stuff. I think that's where you want to spend your time. I would not spend your time thinking about, like, what the best brush is. Like, that is not worth your time right now, because you'll figure that stuff out later in the thing. And, like, even if this brush was the best brush, it will not help you in this instance. You know, like, you're wanting to do, and, like, I'm not busting on you. Everybody does this. Literally everybody wants to jump to, like, what's the best brush? How do I render it that way? That kind of thing. And I think you need to, Roy Crane did a similar thing way back in the day for black and white. I don't even know who Roy Crane is. But I think that like where you want to be and how you want to be coloring and how you get better from where you're at is to not think about the details and think about more the fundamentals. Like you're when you don't have to think as hard about the fundamentals, you're picking really good colors. When you get bogged down in like what the best brush is, the rest of your piece suffers. And I think that is most exemplified by this stuff. Because in this stuff, I see you being like, I see you spending your time thinking, oh, I've got to render the vein in Croc and the vein here, and then this muscle group, and then this muscle group, and then this chain needs all these highlights in it. And it's like, dude, no. Like, this, where is this page? Hold on, we can grab this page because it's part of the Ultimate Portfolio. But you guys can't look at my secret stuff. Hold on one second. Where is Batman hanging Croc? Oh my god, please. Computer, work with me. Okay. Like, you're thinking about all that stuff, but all you need on like this panel is, let me see if we can successfully grab all this stuff. Oh my god. I goofed it. Hoisted by my own petard. Like, the only thing, like, this kid, he's yelling, Batman's telling him to be quiet. Like, this is where we want to be emotionally. Like, the veins in Croc don't matter. Like, this page works just as well if you just like shadow down the thing, maybe shadow here, or like I'm carving out the light source. This is where the light is. Light here, like make the form readable, and then like same thing with Batman. Just light there, light on the nose, light, like that. Like, this creates a more readable situation in this panel. Than getting bogged down in like rendering all, like I would rather see something like this from you. All I did was make one cut and then select inversed and washed it with a lighter color. Like this is all very, very readable now. Like, I understand that we're supposed to be here looking at Edward. We're not supposed to be in here. We're not supposed to be like rendering out like all the skin and everything. Like, from here you can go in and be like, okay, I want to add some details. Like, but you have to have this kind of roadmap, this generalized roadmap in order to proceed. And like this, I can see you like kind of thinking about this because you are actually rendering it in like the similar way, but you're getting lost in the weeds. Stop thinking about brushes. Cuts. Like, when you stopped thinking about brushes, you did better work. Look at this. This is awesome. This is good work. This is not readable good work. Yeah. I'd hire this guy. I'd hire this guy. I wouldn't hire this guy. We can real quick, because we've been talking now for like an hour and a half, and I think that the ultimate. So in your first portfolio review, I was like, you gotta tighten up the portfolio, get it together, work on professional line art. You did all that. Fucking awesome. Like, you're on your way. I was like, you got to scale back. You're making every moment a panic moment. You did that. You're thinking more about story. You just got to keep scaling it back a little, find your place. And And I would just start from now thinking about like, okay, just even if you just do like make a scene work with solid color, if you can make a scene work with solid color, you can then start to do lights and darks with shadows. You can then, after you get that done, you can start to get down with like brushes and that kind of thing. I think you're just kind of putting one foot in front of the other, or you're skipping a foot. We'll check this out. This is an issue that you did as your first published work. It's got kind of the same problems that we had before. Like, I do like that you're really going for it with these scenes. Like, you're creating like a mood that's really cool. Like, I do think that the issue that you worked on is actually stronger. Like, the Batman pieces are probably your worst pieces, because these pages are actually kind of neat, especially this ambulance scene. This like day glow or like teal is like kind of neat. I wonder if this is print safe, but whatever. The art is like kind of rough around the edges, so it's like it's tough, but you're having problems with, like, remember when I was saying the bone pages are working really well because you have like solid ground, solid wall. Like, all of that makes sense. This has some adult content language, not nudity. Oh, I'm not worried about language. Fuck language. You're kind of having... We're going to run through this pretty quickly because we've already been talking for like an hour and a half. And I'm starting to lose my voice. But you're starting to run into that problem where that's not really happening. Like, your values here with the floor and the wall are so similar that it's just flat. And your values with the people are so similar that it's flattening out as well. This is what Ron was saying with like your values were looking a little rough. Here you've got some pretty good values. You're like pulling this high for the sun. This is actually lighter than anything else that you did in like all of the other books or all the other Ultimate Portfolio, which is like neat to see. Like, I want to see more of that. And I dig that the like crazy ass color scheme that you're doing with this like purple and yellow. Like, I actually really enjoy this. I feel like you're taking a very bland scene and you're making it your own, and you're making it interesting, and you're making it look like something that is not necessarily on the shelf, which I think is the goal. Like, you're taking something that could be very, very boring and you're making it very, very interesting through your color. The link from the came out weird from the originals, but yeah, you're running the same problem again. We've talked about this. We were talking about this book a little bit, but like, this moment's really great. You got the hot outside, the cool inside. Like, you're thinking about this. You could have continued this white like across his shoulder here. Like, this could have been a thing, but it still looks really good. You're not afraid to go over that line art. Go over that line art. Should have done that on the Batman page. Yeah, like, I like this like weird hot purple thing you got going on back here. I'd push the bike back. I'd make it more this yellow color, because their figures are getting lost. The silhouette of these figures. I mean, the artist isn't really helping you because the silhouette of this figure is right behind the silhouette of this figure, which is a little weird, and definitely shouldn't happen. But like, and then the bike is behind them. It's a fucking disaster. But like, you know, you want to push the bike back, knock out the line art for this page. But yeah, man, like, this like purple, yellow, blue thing you got going on, I fucking dig it. This green's a little out of place. But yeah, I really like the vibe. I just feel like your values if you tightened up the values, these pages would sing. Your problem is not like you didn't go for it. Like, you're fucking going for it, which is awesome. But like, you could have made this like almost white and really silhouette this guy and really like make the gun like the top of the gun white with a little shine on there. You really like the color schemes in these pages. Yeah, like you're not afraid of like getting wild with color, which is fantastic. Like this could, because like clearly this is not an experienced artist. This is not an artist who's like professional line art. But this could have looked a lot worse without your hand in it. Like this is more engaging than it necessarily has the right to be because of the color choices that you've made, which is incredible. Like you want that. The bar scene's a little bland, but like the outside scene, the purple and yellow is so good. The ambulance scene is so good. Like you close it out like this ambulance scene with this same color scheme at the end. Like you bookend it, like solid, man. I see you out there. I see you thinking about these things. And like I see you thinking about these things too. I feel like we're beating a dead horse at this point, but like I see you thinking about these things. Like your impulses are correct. Your execution isn't quite there yet. You just got to keep working. Just got to keep working. You're having the same like desks are blending into the floor. You're having the same problem. But you'll get there eventually. You'll get there. You're doing good. Throw away the brushes. Like this bullshit. This sky bullshit. Throw it out. Throw it out. Burn it down. Like do a page. Just use the lasso. Just use color. And see how you can get that page to look. And I guarantee that if you do that enough times, if you do like 20 or 30 pages of that, you're gonna grow. You're gonna grow in a big way. At any rate, I think we've talked. It's like an hour 45. I think this is the longest portfolio review I've ever done. If you would like a portfolio review, you can subscribe to the channel, and I will happily review your portfolio. We actually have 2 more portfolios since talking about like reviewing this portfolio to review on stream. Some of them new, some of them. You think you started that way and got lost again? I mean, dude, like next time only cuts. You think you started that way and get lost again? Yeah, like I see you. Like this is what you want to be. Like cuts. Grads, like you started here and then like you started in these bone pages and you're like, oh, I'll just do a little bit of brush work, and then you're like, oh god, I'm gonna do a lot of brush work by the time you got down here, and then you were like, fuck, you're gone back into the old habits. It's all right, man. But yeah, if you work with just cuts and you work with just color, you will figure out like all of these problems. I would say try to finish pages that way, and then eventually work up to figuring out brushes and that kind of thing. The reason I want to pull you guys up, and I want Randall to book work, and clearly he is starting to book some work out there. Like this thing is cool. Like it's awesome that you're cutting your teeth out there. I want you to book more work, and I think that the way to do that is to start growing as far as values and color, like just planes, you know. That's what you need to do. That's how you get in the path. And like I said, I want to pull you up, and I want to pull everybody up. And the reason that I just don't dump all my brushes into the channel, into like, you know, the Discord, is because like that's not going to get you guys better. Like the brushes work for me because of the way I color and the way that I'm thinking about color and the way that like color that I'm executing on it. The thing you're not responding to like the brush that I used. You're responding to like the way that I'm using light. And like a brush isn't going to teach you that. I don't know. So that's why I haven't like dumped all my brushes into the Discord. But yeah, Randall, thank you so much. Got to give it up for Randall. Chat, if you're there, if you're out there, Randall, gutsy, giving me a portfolio, letting us talk about it publicly. That is gutsy as hell. You deserve to be commended, and you deserve another book, man. You made this one better than it should have been. So like, yeah, you deserve another book for sure. Uh, if you would like a portfolio review, like I said, subscription, and we'll talk about it on stream. We got 2 more to do, so I'm going to be trying to do 1 a week. But as we all know, my streaming is a little it's a little shoddy. It's a little like all or nothing. I don't know what my week looks like post Thanksgiving. Hopefully we'll be back and we'll be streaming. I'm not going to be streaming tomorrow or probably for the rest of the weekend. We should be back next week, barring anything crazy that happens. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. That's like gonna be popping off as far as stream goes. Yeah, man, that's the whole game. I want to be here to help you learn. So hopefully, thanks, Ron. Hopefully, came in a little late, learned a lot. Well, everything is ported over to YouTube, so if you ever miss any streams or you want to catch up or you want to see other portfolio reviews, maybe you want to go back and see Randall's first portfolio review that we did about 6 months ago. You can check it out on YouTube. The link's right down below. Join me in the Discord anytime. Bounce ideas off me. Randall has a couple of times has been like, hey, I'm working on this piece. I don't know where I'm going to take it. I'm having trouble with this. Can you help me? And I've walked him through like what he should be thinking about. Jump in there. I'm available all the time. Like I can't necessarily always be giving you my time, but I try to make myself as available as possible. We won't be streaming Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Might stream Saturday or Sunday. Might stream a game. But I'm not quite sure. We'll see. If not, we'll hopefully be back next week. I gotta figure out what's happening with my schedule and we'll see what happens. But yeah, you should join us. We got 2 more portfolios in the can ready to go. So if you enjoyed this, we'll be talking more portfolios in the future. As always, everyone out there, keep making comics. And I'll see you next week. See you after Thanksgiving, all you Americans. Getting fat, taking naps. Don't do that. Make comics.